Women have encountered discrimination and fought for civil rights and equality in the past century. Soccer has always been dominated by men. Women have fought for their rights both on and off the field, and because of their battles, the United States passed Title IX legislation. As a result of the United States' exploration of women's sports through Title IX, the United States saw an increase in participation in women's sports, which popularized women's soccer globally. For thousands of years, people have enjoyed kicking a ball. That ball turned into a game. That game is now commonly known as soccer in the United States and football around the world. As a result of cultural exchange through immigrants, U.S. soccer flourished in the early 20th century. In 1930, the first Men's World Cup occurred and the U.S. won third place. Despite the rising popularity, the passing of the Immigration Act of 1924 limited the number of immigrants that could enter the United States, so foreign players were lost. The decline of cultural exchange stopped the growth of soccer in the U.S. American soccer governing league problems also stopped the expansion of U.S. soccer. By the time the problems were solved, other sports had replaced soccer in the U.S. Comparatively, in the early 20th century in England, women's soccer was just being explored since men were fighting in World War I. However, the Football Association of England banned female soccer on December 5, 1921, on the basis soccer was not suitable for women's frames. 10 years of the exploration of women's soccer did not leave a lasting impact. In the early 20th century, the U.S. was already behind in the exploration of women's soccer. In the early 1970s, women were not involved in soccer in any significant numbers around the world. Before the 1970s, the world had banned women from soccer. Colleges' encounter with women's soccer allowed women's soccer to be explored. Sports in the 1970s were considered unfeminine. The few women who played sports encountered discrimination and ridicule. Title IX was not a risk for women, but instead a motivation, a reason to play. Female athletes before Title IX was passed had to motivate themselves to continue to play since they had no opportunities for scholarships, and playing a sport in itself was a risk. Title IX lessened the risk and helped to motivate women to continue to explore sports.
Well, my position is Director of Athletics, and most people don't understand Title IX.
So I kind of think it's something that should be known by a lot more people, especially like athletes.
No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. On June 23, 1972, the United States President Richard Nixon signed Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972. Title IX was created in order to give equal opportunities to women in sports and education at the collegiate level.
Overall, it has provided a lot more opportunities for women in college athletics, period.
In 1977, Phil Pinsentz of Brown University created the first women's varsity soccer team. By 1979, the Ivy League had enough women's teams to hold a championship. During this time, most women's programs were centered in the Northeast, but in 1980, Anson Dorrance, who was the coach of the men's soccer team at the University of North Carolina, created a women's soccer program in compliance with his athletic director. Consequently, Dorrance then wanted a championship, but since there are fewer than 50 teams, the National Collegiate Athletic Association was not an option. In 1981, the Intercollegiate Athletics for Women approved the first intercollegiate championship. Dorrance's University of North Carolina won. The following year, in 1982, the NCAA created a championship tournament. The University of North Carolina won the first 3 tournaments and closed the first decade of women's soccer programs with 7 out of 8 championship wins. From there, the exploration of women's soccer took off. Title IX success for women's soccer at the collegiate level was joined by youth success. As parents encountered soccer, they realized soccer was fun, could be started at a young age, as well as was relatively easy, and anyone, including girls, could play. Title IX's passing allowed women's soccer to be explored by parents and kids alike. Title IX gave girls the opportunity to explore their dreams. In 1972, 28 high schools in the entire country had girls' soccer teams. By 2012, there were 8,000. In 2007, there were 18 million soccer players estimated in the U.S., with half of them being girls. In comparison, there are now 3 times more girls' soccer players than there are Girl Scouts. Women's soccer was not explored until Title IX. While women's sports and education opportunities have risen since Title IX, a small group of people argue Title IX has taken away from men's opportunities and have stopped the growth of men's soccer in the U.S. Although people also argue men's soccer never would have taken off due to American football. Since 1975, there have been 20 court cases that have tried to limit female equality in different education fields. Also, in order for colleges to stay in accordance with Title IX by giving women equal opportunities, men's programs such as wrestling and baseball have been cut by colleges. Men in these sports worry about their programs and disagree with Title IX.
At the same time, I think it has probably taken away some opportunities from men.
Title IX is credited with decreasing girls' high school dropout rate and increasing the rate of girls who pursue a higher education and get a college degree. Studies have shown that girls who participate in sports have a higher self-esteem, are more likely to graduate from high school, and are less likely to become pregnant. At the same time as the passing of Title IX, the ban on women's soccer in England was lifted in 1971. From there, England also passed the Sex Discrimination Act of 1975, which was working towards the elimination of sex discrimination and promoting equality of opportunity between men and women. Other countries at the time also were beginning women's soccer and promoting equality. The participation at the high school and collegiate level in the 1970s and 80s branched off to create international and professional soccer. In response to Title IX, more and more colleges began to add women's soccer teams. As a result of colleges adding more soccer teams and scholarships, foreign female soccer players were coming to the United States to further their soccer and education careers. In the aftermath of the passing of Title IX, women's soccer was explored, creating a popularity that would last decades to come. Female soccer in the United States didn't have to fight against another dominant sport, allowing soccer to become a dominant sport itself. In 1985, the United States formed the first international women's soccer team and played in an international tournament. They lost 3 games and tied 1. Italy, Sweden, and Norway had formed national teams nearly a decade before the Americans. The U.S. knew they had to make up for lost time and recruited Anson Dorrance of the University of North Carolina to coach the team. From there, the United States women have dominated women's international soccer. The U.S. have won 3 out of 7 World Cups and been runner-up on 1 occasion. Since the first Olympics that included women's soccer in 1996, the U.S. women's team have won 4 of the 5 Olympics, the latest being 2012. In 2000, the U.S. women won silver. As a result of Title IX, women's opportunities in soccer have helped the U.S. to be included in the expansion of international soccer.
I feel like we have been much more of a dominant program, and I think that's probably a direct correlation from providing more opportunities for young females, which means more females are playing the sport, which to me then means that there's more better players so that we can compete at a higher level in the world. So I think it has had a direct impact on improving USA soccer overall because there's just more opportunities. It means more females are playing the sport.
So huge how much of an impact our women's soccer team has had on the world. I think a lot of people are more interested in what's going on and the battles, I guess, that they're fighting.
Title IX has changed the world. It has given the world a new perspective of women. Title IX has shown women can fight for equality. From Title IX, athletes such as Mia Hamm, Brandy Chastain, and Abby Wambach have risen above sexual discrimination. And because of these women, people around the world have been inspired. Title IX is not just about soccer. It is about changing the global perspective of women. It's about changing the way society encounters women. Because of Title IX, women's soccer has been explored. With women playing in male-dominated sports, other women have found the courage to work in male-dominated areas. Title IX has allowed women's strong sides to be explored. World Cup CEO Marla Messing wrote in the FIFA Women's World Cup 99 official program, "The Women's World Cup has grown into more than a sporting event. It will mark in time, signaling the great changes in the lives of girls in past generations and set the sights high for those to come." Salaries and payments will be women's equality battle in the coming century. The inclusion of the United States of America in the exploration of international soccer is the direct result of the passing of Title IX. Soccer is considered the world sport, but until Title IX was passed, it was only half of the world, the male half. The ball that turned into a game, the game that became known as soccer, can now be called a women's sport. Soccer finally is becoming a global sport. The game of equality is far from over, but Title IX was the goal that brought women closer to winning the game. Until the game is won, women will continue to fight.
That it shows that women can fight what they believe in. Like, if they want to play soccer, then they're going to play soccer. I think that's inspiring for young girls.
Women will fight to continue to explore soccer. They will fight until society encounters women as equals. They will fight to exchange the stereotypes of female athletes. They will fight until the final whistle. They will fight until the game is won.
Scream loud tonight. Can you hear my voice this time?